One of the reasons why so many students struggle with the speaking section of the TOEFL is that, unlike the reading and listening sections, you can't estimate your speaking score on your own. You need someone to listen to what you say, give you feedback, and tell you what you need to do to score higher. Just to give you an example, as part of the TOEFL prep course we created, I give consultations to students. And during these consultations, we evaluate their speaking and writing responses. And what I can tell you after listening to thousands and thousands of such responses, both during these sessions and in my one-on-one classes, is that the mistakes all students make are exactly the same. Even people with an advanced level of English make them over and over again, because no one has explained to them what they're doing wrong. And these mistakes will never allow them to score higher than 22 to 23. The interesting thing is that very often, there are just a few minor things that need to be changed, so that the same student who just scored 23 would score 26 plus on the speaking section. I had a student who scored 30 out of 30, while his speaking skills were quite average. So if you're wondering what to do to get a 30 out of 30 on test day, please continue watching this video. We're going to break down the entire speaking section of the TOEFL test so that you can see for yourself all the do's and don'ts. We'll be using the ETS free sample test, which you can find in the description below. As always, I recommend that you pause the video after each question and try to answer the questions on your own before listening to my responses. This way, you will not only learn new information, but you will really practice and get one step closer to your dream score. If your TOEFL test is coming up and you want to get to your target score as quickly as possible, click on this link to get access to all the materials and resources you need. And because you're watching this video, we're giving you a discount promo code. So let's pretend that today is the day of your test and get started, as with all TOEFL sections, you will first see the instructions. Then, the first task. You will see a question and you will have 45 seconds to answer it. The important thing is that you only have 15 seconds to prepare. So don't panic and use this time to your advantage. Let's give it a try.
State whether you agree or disagree with the following statement. Then explain your reasons, using specific details in your explanation. Learning through online courses is more effective than learning in the traditional classroom setting.
I absolutely agree that online classes are much more beneficial for learning. First of all, studying online saves a lot of time on your daily commute. I remember when my friend used to take a TOEFL prep course in downtown LA, he had to waste a couple of hours a day getting there and back. However, if he had prepared for the test online, he would have been able to invest all that time in taking practice tests and studying on his own, which would have allowed him to get the score he needed much faster. Second, distance learning also allows you to take courses from anywhere in the world, regardless of your location. You can earn a certificate or even a degree from top American universities while living in Australia, for example, which definitely opens up new opportunities. This task is usually the hardest for my students for a couple of reasons. First, they start to panic during the prep time and can't say anything during the answer time. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if this is your problem. Second, some students make the first introductory statement too long. For example, they might say something like, I absolutely agree that learning through online classes is much more beneficial than learning in the traditional classroom setting. And there are a couple of reasons why I have this opinion. This makes them waste a lot of time, and they can't elaborate on their reasons and examples. Some don't use transitions, such as on top of that, however, as a result. Others pause too much and say something like, I agree that online courses are much more beneficial for 2 reasons. And most struggle to come up with relevant reasons and examples. As you can see, there is a lot going on in those 45 seconds, which is why I usually devote most of my time during our consultations to this type of question. Now, let's move on to the second part of the speaking section. The next 3 questions are called integrated speaking questions, because you no longer have to think about what to say. You must read, listen, and then summarize what you read and heard. In question 2, you'll read a text about a change on campus, and then listen to 2 students discussing this change. Your task is to write down the main idea of the reading, what this change is about, and then listen carefully to one of the speakers in the conversation. This person will express their opinion about the change and give 2 reasons for this opinion. For example, I support this change because reason 1 and reason 2. Now, let's get down to business.
Read the article from a university newspaper. You will have 50 seconds to read the article. Begin reading now. Now listen to a conversation between 2 students.
Hey, Sue, did you see this article?
Yeah, I did. I don't think that's a very good idea.
Really? You don't think it's a safety hazard, like they said?
No, at least not during the day. I'm pretty sure both of those accidents happened at night when it's harder to see cyclists. They didn't say that in the article.
Oh, that does make a difference.
Sure it does. Maybe at night with low visibility there's a safety hazard. But I don't think there's any danger in the daytime, which is when most people need to move around and get to classes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Besides, it's such a big campus. If they do this, it's going to be really hard to get around.
Well, we can always take the bus, I guess.
But the buses only run once an hour.
That's true. They're not very convenient.
No, not at all. If people have to take the bus, we'll end up sitting around waiting for the next one all the time, and we're all too busy to waste our time doing that.
The woman expresses her opinion of the proposed policy change. State her opinion and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion.
In the announcement, the university shares its plans to soon ban the use of bicycles on campus, since they are a safety risk and because the free campus bus service is an alternative way to get around. The speaker disagrees with this policy. First, she points out that the accidents described in the article took place at night, when visibility is poor, and it's not easy to see cyclists. However, most students ride their bikes during the day, when this problem does not exist, so there is no safety threat. Second, she mentions that the campus area is large, and if students cannot use bicycles, commuting between campus buildings will be problematic. Also, the buses only run once an hour, which means that even if the bus service is introduced, it won't be as effective as riding a bicycle, because students will end up wasting too much time waiting for the next bus, and everyone is too busy for that. These are the reasons why the woman disagrees with the announcement. So, as you can see, you want to give a brief summary of the reading, and then spend most of your time on the listening summary. A quick tip from me is to use the 20-40 rule. Spend 20 seconds on the reading summary and transition, and then 40 seconds on the conversation summary. The biggest challenges with this type of question are not keeping to the time limit, saying too little about the listening summary, talking too much about the reading, making too many grammar and vocabulary mistakes that make your answer unclear, and again, pausing too much. Question 3. I call this question general to specific. Why is that? Because in this question, you should first read a general text on an academic topic, and then listen to a more specific lecture on the same topic. The lecture will usually explain the concept from the reading using examples, experiments, or the professor's experience. Then, as in question 2, you should summarize what you have heard and read. Let's look at this question.
Now read the passage from a psychology textbook. You have 45 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now. Now listen to part of a lecture on the topic in a psychology class.
This happens all the time with kids in schools. Say there's a little boy or girl who's just starting school. Well, they're not really used to the rules about proper behavior for a classroom. So at the beginning they might, interrupt the teacher, walk around the classroom when they're supposed to be sitting down. Just misbehaving in general. Okay, but what happens? Well, The teacher gets angry with them when they act this way. They might get punished. They have to sit at their desks when everyone else is allowed to go outside and play. And they certainly don't like that. Soon, they'll learn that this kind of behavior gets them in trouble. They'll also learn that when they raise their hand to talk to the teacher and sit quietly and pay attention during class, they're rewarded. The teacher tells them she's proud of them and maybe puts little happy face stickers on their homework. Now that their behavior gets a good reaction from the teacher, the kids learn to always act this way in class and not behave the way they used to.
Using the example from the lecture, explain what behavior modification is and how it works.
The reading passage is about behavior modification, which is when we change the way we behave after learning about the consequences of our actions. The professor delves deeper into the subject by using the example of children just starting school. He says that at first, kids don't know how to behave in class and may interrupt the teacher, walk around the classroom, or misbehave in some other way. However, after seeing the teacher get angry with them and maybe even punish them for this sort of behavior, like making them sit at their desks while other children play outside, the little ones realize that bad behavior will result in negative consequences for them. On the contrary, when they behave well, such as raising their hands to speak or sitting quietly and paying attention in class, children are rewarded with praise from the teacher or happy face stickers on their homework, which motivates them to behave that way in class and avoid bad behavior. Well, how was that? As you can see, this question can be challenging for people who have trouble summarizing things quickly and effectively. A typical situation I see with my students is that a person starts talking and either does not include some relevant details or tries to say too much and runs out of time. A little tip from me: use complex and compound sentences. They always help to get the same message across, but in a much shorter and more concise way. If you feel this is a bit too challenging for you, don't worry. These questions may seem difficult at first, but with a little practice, you'll be able to crack them like nuts. If you want to learn the special formula for summarizing the lecture in a fast and effective way, join our TOEFL course. We'll practice each question of the speaking section separately, and make sure you ace the speaking section. Last but not least, question 4. For this question, you only have 20 seconds to prepare, and the same 60 seconds to speak as in question 3. This is because you don't have to read the text. You just listen to a lecture. It usually starts with the professor talking about some topic or issue, and then you will hear 2 examples that will illustrate this concept. For example, 2 types of mammals, or 2 marketing strategies. So your job is just to listen carefully, take notes, and then summarize. Let's give it a shot.
Listen to part of a lecture in a business class.
If a consumer has to choose between 2 products, what determines the choice? Assume that someone, a purchaser, is choosing between 2 products that cost the same, okay? If people have a choice between 2 identically priced products, which one will they choose? They choose the one they think is of higher quality, of course. But what does it mean for a product to be a high-quality product? Well, business analysts usually speak of 2 major factors of quality. One factor is reliability, and the other is what we call features. So reliability. What's reliability? Well, a product is reliable if it works the way we expect it to work, if it can go a reasonable amount of time without needing repairs. If a product, a car for example, doesn't work the way it should and needs repairs too soon, we say it's unreliable. So product reliability means basically the absence of defects or problems that you weren't expecting. It used to be that when people thought about product quality, they thought mainly about reliability. Today, it's different. People do still care about reliability, don't get me wrong. It's just that manufacturing standards are now so high that, we'll take cars for example, today. Today's cars are very reliable. So reliability is important, but it's not going to be the deciding factor. So if reliability isn't the deciding factor anymore, what is? Features. all those extras, the things a product has that aren't really necessary but that make it easier to use or that make it cool. For example, new cars today are loaded with features like electric windows, sunroofs, air conditioning, stereos, and so forth. When people are comparing products today, they look at features because reliability is pretty much equal across the board. And that's why manufacturers include so many features in their products.
Using points and examples from the lecture, explain the two major factors of product quality and how their role in consumer decision-making has changed.
The lecture is about two major factors of quality, aspects that help customers choose between two similar products. The first factor is reliability, which is when the product works as we expect and lasts long enough without needing to be repaired. She gives an example of cars, saying that when you buy a new car, you want it to work the way it should and last a long time without breaking down. Otherwise, it's unreliable. Simply put, a reliable product doesn't have defects and works the way we expect it to. The second and deciding factor is features. Features are extra additions that aren't necessary but make the product easier to use or just cool. To illustrate, new cars come with many extra features, such as sunroofs, air conditioners, stereos, electric windows, and so on. For this reason, consumers look at features when deciding which product to buy. And so, manufacturers try to include as many features as possible in their products. The key to answering this question is to include details from the lecture. A little tip from me. If you hear a word that you recognize, but you aren't sure if you'll remember it when you speak, write it down. That way, you have a little list of words to guide you through your answer and help you speak fluently. Also, don't waste too much time in the beginning. Just introduce the general topic and talk about the two things in turn. Well, that's the end of our speaking section. I hope this video was helpful and you have a better understanding of what the speaking section looks like. Feel free to share your answers to these questions in the comments below. That way, you'll be able to learn from your peers as well. For those of you who are struggling with the speaking section, click on the link and get all your doubts cleared up. If your exam is approaching, you can choose the Guru package and schedule a consultation with me. I'll evaluate your answers and tell you what you need to do differently to score a 26+ on the speaking section. Also, if you have already taken the test, please share your results in the comments below. It's always motivating to read your stories. It's also a great way to get to know each other better. Good luck to you all! Have a nice and sunny day. Until next time.